Power 4.4 Radio or Live 365. Power 4.4 Radio is not responsible for any information reported on the program. Today's show is sponsored by Mastermind Photography and Designers. Contact them for all your photography and design needs at 443-226-2429. Let them know that Power 4.4 Radio sent you and follow them on social media at JH3MM. Book your appointment today and make today last forever.
If you're moving, you should call Focus Movers. We got trucks and crews, call Focus Movers. 443-506-7905. We can handle it. We got skills to cover it all. Cap and load and take away your stress. Anywhere, demand for your relocation. 24/7 services. Get a free quote. Don't miss out on it. If you're moving, you should call Focus Movers. We got trucks and crews, call Focus Movers.
Join us each and every Monday at 6 p.m. as we bring to you Ladies Night with the Hustle Queens. I'm Cinnamon.
And I'm Stony. And as always,
keep hustling, Queens.
This is Kid Kong, tuned into Toon World every Saturday from 8 to 9 p.m. on Power 4.4 Radio.
Greetings. It's your Queen of Trauma Drama, Evangelist Dr. Tony Terry, asking you to join me every Sunday for the Hour of Power radio show, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Power 4.4 Radio. This is a place where you can speak your trauma and eliminate your drama. Again, that's every Sunday, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Power 4.4 Radio.
You're listening to Power 4.4 Radio with the Power of Influence with Dr. E every other Friday, 8 p.m. to 9, right here on Power 4.4 Radio. But make sure you download that app Live 365 and look for Power 4.4. It is where people are the power.
Hey there, this is Michael Braxton with Health Tips and Hip Hop. What's going on in your garden of health? Join me with my radio family at Power 4.4 every Wednesday from 6 p.m. until 7 p.m.
What up, ladies and gentlemen? This is Derek Durrell Dixon right here. I'm talking with 3D right here on Power 4.4, where the people are the power. Listen, I'm here every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so tell a friend and make sure that you tune in because we are always going to be sipping the coffee and spilling the tea, so don't miss it. 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time right here, Power 4.4, because you know what? The people are the power.
Tune in to FNL Radio every Tuesday from 6 to 7 with your boy, your host, King JTH. It's your host, King JTH, here live on FNL Radio. We're going to start with the NCCA men and women's tournament. As we saw last night, LSU took on Iowa, and man, it was a game. I really thought LSU was going to pull it out in a close one and advance to the Final Four and eventually meet up with South Carolina in the NCAA championship game, but Caitlin Clark really put on a performance last night, dropping 41 points. She even had some Stephen Curry comparisons, how well she was performing. I really feel like these are the two best female basketball players in the NCAA, if not at least top 3 or top 4. Caitlin Clark is really showing that she deserved to be on the U.S. team because I feel like both her and Angela Reese should have been on that team. And messed up my bracket a little bit because I had LSU upset South Carolina in the championship game. But I do think South Carolina and Iowa will meet up in the championship game. And then, man, I don't know who I'm going to pick. But I guess Caitlin Clark really can't be stopped. So I'm going to pick I'm gonna pick Iowa to win. And then we also had UConn and USC. UConn got it done. Juku Watkins, she put up a performance, but it wasn't enough. Paige Beckers, they had similar stats. Man, I'm not shocked at UConn. Why? I picked UConn, but I was pulling for USC. It just wasn't in the makings. And then on the men's side, Purdue pulled through, which I expected. And then we have them. We have UConn. We have Alabama, and we have NC State. I was really hoping for Duke to pull through, but they didn't. And I almost picked Clemson over Alabama, but I wind up picking Alabama, and I'm glad that I stayed with my pick. On the men's side, I think it's going to be UConn and Purdue at the end, and I'm going to go with the defending champions to win, but I can really see Purdue winning as well. I also was pulling for Gonzaga, but anybody else got any thoughts on the NCAA tournament?
No, I think this is good. This is really good ball playing at this time. I mean, when you look at the teams that are making it, they are truly putting on a show, and you can tell that all of them are true ballers. They're doing a good job. They're doing a good job. I like both the men and the women's bracket, both of them. I mean, I've seen some great games this March Madness.
Agreed. Great performances.
Mm-hmm.
Any predictions on who you have winning?
Now I really don't even want to say. I like Purdue. Yeah,
Okay.
I like Purdue. I mean,
What about on the women's side?
After last night, if it's not Iowa, South Carolina they've been a beast in this too the whole time. I mean that's gonna be a good game. That's all I can say. They're gonna be a good game.
Oh yeah, I agree on the fact that it's definitely between those two on the women's side.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, we gotta talk about Kendrick Lamar. You heard it on the intro. Man, Drake and J. Cole had to respond. Like, they wasn't even trying to really beef with him, but he was just like, I'm number one. This ain't no big three. It's the big me. You heard what he said? Big Sean did respond to it. So if Drake and J. Cole don't respond, K-Dot got it. I'm not gonna lie. It seemed out of the blue to me, but I mean, they in that era, so they kind of was sneak dissing for many years, but he done with the sneak dissing. He's shouting out names, or shouting out songs, I should say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Anybody got any thoughts on that?
Mm-hmm.
I think that with that, to me, when you start trying to disrespect people or to come for them, that's not good in the music industry. It's not good. I don't think you should do that at all. I think your work should always speak for you. Let your work speak for you. What you do. If you are a true writer, rapper, singer, whatever it is, let them do your talking, not your mouth. When you do a lot of talking, it's not saying that you're doing a good job, but if your work talks for you, you can't do no better than that.
But I get what you're saying, but in that industry, it seems like competition. Like Kendrick Lamar, J. Cole, it seems like even though they make songs together, mm-hmm. they have good times together, I guess. It's competition. Whether it's friendly or not, it's kind of like sports. Some sports rivalries are friendly. Just like Angela Reese, she said she doesn't have no problems with Caitlin Clark, but back in the day, Isaiah Thomas had a lot of problems with Michael Jordan. So,
Michael Jordan was a problem. I mean, he's a problem. Anytime when he stepped up, that was it. He was the GOAT, as they say. He was the one.
Oh, yeah. Well, also, we got to talk about Mike Tyson and Jake Paul. Man, Mike Tyson, your legacy on the line, man. Your legacy is on the line. You cannot lose to Jake Paul. You cannot tie with Jake Paul. Now, the Floyd Mayweather said it. He was in it for the money. He clearly just wanted a paycheck because he should have won by like round 2 or round 3, if not round 1. Granted, Jake Paul is a good boxer. Very good boxer. He might even you can argue he's top, like, out of the amateur boxers. You can argue he's not even an amateur boxer. Like, I won't say top 1%, but maybe like you could argue he's top 5% or top 3%, top 2%. But there's levels. Mike Tyson is in the same conversation with guys like Muhammad Ali, guys like Joe Frazier, guys of that caliber. Like Floyd Mayweather, some people isn't really even in that conversation, even though he went undefeated because of his weight class. He in the George Foreman is another person that he's in the conversation with. So I need 13-second Mike. I need 13-second Mike.
Mike back in the day, he was that 13-second Mike. I mean, he would be, knocking him out before you even got in your chair good. People used to be mad when they go to the fights because Mike would have them out of there the first round. I mean, but it's been some years now. And I don't take nothing away from Mike ever.
But do you not see the physique? I'm not trying to glaze, but do you not see the physique?
He look like he in good shape. I see him putting in that work.
This man look like he can compete in the world's strongest competition right now.
He's still
at his age.
He's getting up there though, almost 60.
Shoot, he almost looked like he can go on the football field.
What you think?
Hard to say, but Jake Paul, don't really know too much about him, his boxing career, but I do know Mike Tyson's legacy, one of the greatest boxers ever.
Right.
Bit a guy's ear off back in his prime. That's not a guy I'm messing with if I ever run into him. He was like one of the last people on planet Earth that I'd pick a fight with.
Yeah, he's... Go ahead, son.
I want to see Jake Paul get the crap beat out of him.
I agree.
Predictions? Well, I think Mike Tyson is going to drag the fight a little bit like Jake Paul, or like Floyd Mayweather, but I see him closing the deal out in like the 6th round at max. The earliest, I think he's going to drag it out a little bit. It's like the 4th round. I do think it's a money thing, so he's not just going to knock him out. Otherwise, Jake Paul will get killed. His family is just like, don't get in the ring with this man. I don't care how much money it is.
That's right. If your mother tell you don't get in the ring with somebody, you need to listen to your mother there. She was like, no, you don't need to do that. But let me ask the question. Now, if I'm not mistaken, he has to come in under a certain weight. Am I correct?
Most likely, yes.
Mike Tyson he's supposed to come in under a certain weight. And I think it was like 160. Maybe somebody can Google that. What weight is he supposed to come in for this fight? The second thing is, I think that he's supposed to be able to tag out, and Jake Paul can tag his brother in the fight. Am I correct on that?
Mike Tyson could take him 2-on-1. He should be able to take him 2-on-1. I seen what this man did in his prime.
Because this, so that's the number 2 point. The number 3 point is, isn't he supposed to be able to have headgear on too? Like Jake Paul didn't want to get his head knocked off, so he's supposed to have headgear as well. So those are 3 pretty big points right there.
That's why I gave this man 6 rounds.
Am I right on all 3 of those points? Are those right? Am I right?
I would have to look into it more detail, but some of them, at least one of them, probably correct. Maybe 2.
Okay.
But I'm not sure if all 3 of them are correct.
Okay.
Anybody else got anything to say about it?
Looking for you.
Yeah, to me, this should be a good. Jake Paul is not I don't want to consider him like a real professional fighter. Like there's a difference between amateur and professional. Just like with anything else. When you look at people who are good amateur basketball players, and then you look at the professional basketball players, there's a difference. So I think you ought to look at those things that really make a difference, and I think that would make a big difference. I do.
Okay. We're gonna move on to NBA reviews and previews of the upcoming games and last night games. Memphis cut it pretty close with Detroit. That's not supposed to happen, but they did win. 110 to 108. They closed it out late. Had a pretty decent fourth quarter. Jaren Jackson Jr. dropped 40 points and 7 rebounds, which you're supposed to do that on Detroit. Cade Cunningham continues to put up 25 to 30 points a game, but this night he dropped 38 and 8. I mean, I feel bad for the kid. The kid got a lot of talent. You could argue he's a top 50 player in the NBA. He's just on the worst team in the NBA, and the only team that's even close to being as bad is the Wizards, which I actually did watch that game. It wound up being an entertaining game. Not gonna lie, but Detroit did get that one. Indiana last night beat Brooklyn. Tyrese Halliburton dropped 27 and 13. I really like the kid. I really like the kid. I think right now you can argue he's a top 20 player in the NBA. Certainly top 25. I don't know if you would consider the in-season play-in tournament playoff success, but at least he's been in that type of field somewhat. So if the Pacers wind up being in the play-in, which right now they're a game ahead of Miami for the 6th spot, or if they wind up playing in the first round, they at least have a more playoff type atmosphere experience than they would have otherwise wouldn't have had. Another team in the East, a very fun team in the Eastern Conference to talk about, is the Orlando Magic. Paolo didn't have the best game, but they didn't really have the best game offensively. But defensively, they came to play against Portland. They were supposed to beat Portland. They did just that. But Paolo has progressed from his rookie year. I believe his rookie year, he dropped 20 points, even though he only has like 22 points per game now. I feel like he's sacrificing a little bit of stats for the Magic to win, kind of like how Jason Tatum sacrificing his stats so the Celtics can win. Although I think they're kind of fraudulent. I'm going to get to that. Later on. I do think they're kind of fraudulent, but I like Orlando. I think there'd be a fun team to watch. I don't think they'll win their first round matchup, but I wouldn't be shocked. And whoever they play, right now, if the season were to end, they would play the New York Knicks. That would be a very fun game. fun series. Or even if they played the Cleveland Cavaliers, I think it would be a fun series. Very bright future, very bright future. But Portland, I don't really think they cared about the loss. I think they're more worried about hopefully getting lucky in the draft. Boston keeps on spawning wins. They beat Charlotte. They need to bounce back because they lost to Atlanta back to back, and that was without Trae Young. That is very, very concerning. One of them games, I think DeJounte Murray had like 44 points. I think it was 12 assists, if not 12 rebounds. And Boston was up by 30 that night. Boston was up by 30 that night, and they wind up losing the game by a couple of points. Then a couple of nights later, the game after that was when DeJounte dropped 30, but DeJounte didn't go off in the first game. He dropped like 20. Like he went off, but it wasn't like, oh my goodness. It was like, I think he had like 20, 13, and 13. But then Atlanta beat them again in overtime. 123 to 122. So they need to not play with their food, because last time they played Atlanta got some in the playoffs. Atlanta got some wins that they probably shouldn't have had. But we definitely gonna get to the Eastern Conference. The Phoenix Suns last night beat New Orleans Pelicans. They need to continue winning, y'all, because you don't want to be stuck in that play-in tournament. That's why Dallas is starting to heat up, because LeBron's in that, Steph Curry's in that.
LeBron is almost in last place.
No, yeah, but he's still in he's still in the play-in tournament. That's true. They number 9. They can get to number 8 if they really start winning.
They're like 4th in their division.
Yeah, they're 4th in the division, but the division doesn't matter as much as the conference standings. But I get what you're saying. So you want to avoid having to play Stephen Curry or LeBron. Right now, you better be very happy that Luka and Kyrie are starting to win now. Like Kyrie,
they in last place.
Like a week ago. Well, that's the best division in basketball. A week or two ago, Kyrie Irving hit that game winner.
You think the Kings is better?
Than who?
The Kings in that division.
No, I in a one-off game, give me LeBron over the Kings. Give me him over Phoenix, although it would be a good game, and give me them over Golden State. I trust LeBron to get out the play-in.
Okay.
And who I trust the second most is Steph Curry. Who I trust the third most is KD. I really do think Sacramento is gonna put up a fight, but if they get stuck in a play-in tournament, I'm not picking them over any of those dudes, because in a one-off scenario, maybe in a series because those dudes are older, but in a one-off scenario, give me the guys with experience. Although Sacramento does have some experience going to 7 games with Golden State last season. And we have Atlanta winning over Chicago. The only thing that would be significant about that is them trying to get the 9 seed, so Chicago has to come to Atlanta instead of Atlanta having to go to Chicago. And if Trae Young comes back, that could benefit them having a home crowd. Atlanta. Well, one of my topics is going to be about the playoffs and contenders, but I'll briefly touch on it now. At least Atlanta versus Chicago. If Trae Young's healthy during the play-in tournament, give me Atlanta over Chicago. But if he's not there, give me Chicago. But I could see it going either way, regardless of whether Trae Young is there or not, because defensively Atlanta seems a little bit better without him, but like offensively they're inconsistent without him. But I would just feel more comfortable picking him if he's there, because he's a guy with experience, more experience than Dejounte Murray. Although DeMar DeRozan has probably more experience than both of them, but Trae Young right now is a little bit better. Although that boy DeMar still do be balling even at his age. Now I'm going to talk about the upcoming games that's coming on today. Milwaukee plays the Wizards. That should be a blowout. They're probably going to be resting their starters by the third quarter.
That's a shame. That's a shame.
The Lakers are playing Toronto. I think it's another blowout. I think LeBron will take care of business. San Antonio versus Denver. San Antonio doesn't want to win at this point. If Wemby was on a good team, I think he would be Defensive Player of the Year. But unfortunately, he plays for the Spurs. But they might be good in a couple years. Maybe it's because he's on the Spurs that he reminds me of Tim Duncan. But he reminds me of Tim Duncan a lot. The NBA has a bright future. Maybe not narrative-wise for superstars that's coming up. But you got guys like Jokic, who was trying to climb up on the all-time rankings. Got guys like Luka. He just needs to start winning. Hopefully the Mavericks start to build a better team around him. You got Giannis, who already made a case that he's arguably the second best power forward of all time, but he's definitely top 4. You got Victor Wembanyama, who's coming up, who just looks like the next I don't know, like the next Tim Duncan, Shaq, Kareem, LeBron, all put in one.
Oh, that's a lot.
This man is younger than me, dropping 40 and 20 in the NBA. It's insane.
That is insane.
That is, yeah.
Houston versus Minnesota. Houston went on like an 11-game winning streak. They're on Golden State heels. Like Golden State needs to pick it up a little bit, and they're not even bad. Like it's just the West is that good. And making the Warriors seem bad, but they have.
That game postponed.
Oh really? No.
The Mavericks and the Warriors.
Oh, I was talking about Houston. I was talking about Golden State though, but I was comparing Houston to Golden State.
Okay.
Why
is that game postponed?
Yeah, I see the same thing. One of them says postponed, and the other one says 10 o'clock. But I do believe Golden State and Houston will play a couple of days from now, so everybody need to bring their A game. Just imagine if Houston started winning early on, they would be something to look out for. But it looks like they have a bright future next year if they don't make the play-in tournament. Because I think Golden State should maintain and outlast Houston, but it is getting closer. Now, at one point, they were with one game away from Golden State. I hope Dallas and Golden State do actually play at 10 o'clock, because one of them says postpone, one of them says 10. Because that probably would be the best game on today. You get Luka versus Stephen Curry. Mm-hmm. One team is trying to get out the play-in, make sure they're comfortably out the play-in. Another team is trying to make sure they stay in the play-in. I think it would be a good game. If they do play, I will pick Dallas to win in a close one.
Okay.
Miami plays New York. Give me New York. Jimmy Butler in the regular season is inconsistent. I think he's more worried about the playoffs than the regular season. But I do think it'll be a competitive game. Man, like Jalen Brunson the other day dropped 61 against the Spurs, and it still wasn't enough. That's kind of, I know it's one game, but it's kind of concerning because you play, if you play somebody like Milwaukee in the playoffs, and you dropping 61, and that's not enough, and you think that might be the only game you win, or might be one of the only 2 games you win, or not winning that game could really get you up out of there earlier. OKC and Phillies playing. OKC should win. They're arguably the best team in the West, although I think Denver, to be the champs, you got to beat the champs. I'll give it to Denver at this point, but they're one of the best teams in the West. And B hasn't fully recovered yet. They should take care of business. That boy Shea be dropping 30 every night. Cleveland's playing Utah. I don't think Utah probably doesn't care whether they win or lose. They have right under 30 wins. They have about 29 wins. Cleveland is trying to get the 3 seed, so I think they handle business. And the Clippers are playing the Sacramento Kings. One team is trying to make sure they stay in the 4 seed because low-key Dallas is 2 games behind them. You wouldn't think that. You wouldn't think that, but they are 2 games behind them. How things turn very quickly. And the Kings, they're almost the 8th seed. They're like right. They might actually be the 8th seed. Them and Phoenix are neck and neck. You would much rather want Phoenix to go to Sacramento than you go to Phoenix. But the Clippers, you never really know like who's gonna play each night. Although they're not load managing it as much because of the new rules and things like that. And it's in Sacramento. I'm a little tempted to pick the Kings to win. Yeah, I'm not sure on this one, but I'll pick the Kings to win in a close one. But obviously, I can see the Clippers winning. But the best team doesn't always win every night, especially when you load manage it. Yeah. Anybody got some game day predictions for today?
You know, one thing that I was listening to is that they were talking about some of the commentators were talking about people who were game managers. And I wanted to get you all's perspective on that. And they talked about how they manage the game, how they actually put different plays together for outcomes. But what do y'all think about the game managers? Have you all been hearing about that?
Yes.
About game
to
managers?
Me, a game manager doesn't lose you the game, but he doesn't win you the game. He literally manages the game. Cam, we're going to talk about football in a little bit, but Cam Newton talked about this. He said, Brock Purdy is a game manager. Hate to say it, I agree, because if the 49ers would have won that Super Bowl, he wouldn't have won them the game, but he definitely wouldn't have lost them the game. That is the definition of a game manager. Dak Prescott agree. Dak Prescott, he said, till I see that man consistently play good in the playoffs, I'm gonna agree. He said Tua. Till I consistently see him play good against good teams, I had to agree.
Tua's a game manager?
Yes. That doesn't mean you're bad. I don't think a game manager is bad because I still these dudes that I just named, I still think they're top 15 quarterbacks. They're not bad. I just think only like the top 5 guys are like consistently like I can trust them to win a game. Because I know people talk about Lamar's playoff record and stuff, but you have to put into context. The first year, the Ravens were 4-5 without him with Joe Flacco. He goes in, he wins 6 games.
He's a playmaker.
And then
I don't think he's a game manager, but I think he's a playmaker.
who Lamar's
He's a
playmaker. If Lamar would have won the Super Bowl, it would have been undoubtedly that he was the second best quarterback. He was the best quarterback in the league.
When you get voted the MVP quarterback for the last couple of years,
you're in a different conversation.
You're in a whole right. It's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, I think he's a playmaker though. I don't think he's a game manager.
I don't think
he hasn't gotten there yet.
The only one thing you manager I think is a game manager is Tua. I mean Brock Purdy. I think he's top 10 quarterback. Just because he has weapons around him, it's not really fair to him because he doesn't get a chance to show skill set with like average players. It's not his fault, but he's putting up crazy stats. Even though he has a good team around him, he's getting the job done, and he has had games where he goes off by himself and he kind of carries the 49ers to wins. Same thing with Prescott. I personally thought he was a top 3 quarterback last year. Mm-hmm. He's not a game manager by any means. He's more of a playmaker. He throws for 4,000, almost 5,000 yards, 40 touchdowns, and 10 receptions. That's not a game manager. A game manager to me is more like 4,000 yards, 25 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. If you're carrying your team, he was their best player last year besides CeeDee Lamb and Micah Parsons. If you're a top 3 player on your team, I cannot see you as a game manager.
Aaron Rodgers?
Aaron Rodgers, he's not a game manager either. He's a playmaker.
Aaron Rodgers is a top 5 quarterback all the time.
I think he's a game manager.
No.
I think when you're winning 5.
I think he's just injured.
Yeah, I think when you win 5.
Oh, that was last year. I'm talking about his career. I feel like he's a game manager.
No.
Heck no.
There's only 4 quarterbacks in NFL history that's better than him. That's Tom Brady.
We're not talking about better than. We're talking about can they manage the game to control whether they're going to get the win or they're a playmaker.
Aaron Rodgers is a superstar. Aaron Rodgers is a superstar.
He's both. He can manage the game and he can be a playmaker.
Okay, I agree with that. To me, if you're top 20,
that makes sense.
If you're a top 20 quarterback in NFL history, or at least a top 30 quarterback in NFL history, game manager is never on the table unless you also include them being a superstar.
Yeah, that was something that he said.
But maybe certain points of his career you could probably argue it, because like Tom Brady's first 5 years, I feel like he was a game manager.
That's something else too that I want to speak to. You got to look at the team and who you have around you, because if you only have a limited group, let's give you an example. Think about LeBron. LeBron, when he was at the Cavaliers, he carried them basically. He had nothing but B, C producers. Am I correct? Mm-hmm. That's the same thing when it comes to football. You could be a quarterback, but if you don't have great people who are receiving the ball, great running backs, great playmakers, tight ends. Mm-hmm. If you don't have a tight end coming across the middle every once in a while to get hit, if you don't have anybody with some speed, they're gonna eat your lunch, because guess what? Everybody is on you because they know every time you get the ball, you're gonna do something with the ball.
Agreed. Going back to the Aaron Rodgers thing, a couple of years ago he won the MVP. I think it may have been the year without Javonta Adams. I'm not sure, but he's won the MVP without any top 15 receivers, without any great tight ends. He can do it all himself. I mean, he got the Packers to a 13-win season several years with limited talent. Mm-hmm. And I think when I say he's a playmaker and can be a game manager, another great example of that is Tom Brady. He's the GOAT, obviously, but he can manage the game. He could take control of it. He could not make the terrible mistakes. He could just play it simple and take the team to the win. But if he needed to lead a game-winning drive like he did in his first couple of years in the Super Bowl, he could do that too. That's what, to me, Aaron Rodgers, Mahomes, Lamar
Yeah.
Jackson, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, all those top guys are.
Yeah, when I think of playmaker, I think of a person that they create other opportunities for like Lamar does, other opportunities for people to get downfield because he's ducking tackles, he's running out of the pocket and then still throwing. That's what I think when I think of a playmaker. When I think of a game manager, to me, a game manager is like Tom Brady. He knows how to control the game. Tom Brady knows how to control. Whether he have a top 5, top 2 receivers, Tom Brady knows how to control the game.
Agreed.
Okay, I agree with that because I think that's another good way to see a game manager. But I think our perspective on game managers is different. It's just really me. It just
Cam
depends on
Newton's is talking about more so a person that can keep their team in the hunt to win the game. When you look at like the Ravens got a knack for the game is always tight, but at the same time, we see like Lamar just ducking and doing some incredible stuff in the pocket when we're just used to him running. So that now he becomes a playmaker to me because he's making plays to extend the play. As opposed to he can't manage the game yet. Like that's the one thing that critics always say about Lamar Jackson is he can't manage the game properly. You see in the championship game, he couldn't manage the game properly.
Yeah, but there was also some calls that should have been called too. Like I think that
but in the world of sports, they always tell you never let the referees control the game.
Exactly.
That's true. That's true.
So Zay Flowers with the fumble.
They do sometimes.
There's always something more you can do to change the referee's decision.
Yeah.
If you get a really bad call, get a turnover, score on the next drive.
Right.
Even if the refs impact the game, you can still. You're the one who controls the outcome.
Correct.
Oh yeah. I'm piggyback on something we talked about earlier. Like Aaron Rodgers' career is very interesting to me. He's had Green Bay sometimes was laid the egg and defensively in the playoffs. He had some unfortunate situations in the playoffs, like the onside kick with Seattle. But he's also had some not so good games when he was actually at the top of his game, like versus the 49ers. You had the NFC Championship game that Tom Brady threw 3 picks. They weren't able to execute on that. But also there was some coaching issues too there. But I still think he's one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. I think I would put him as number 5. Yes.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I agree on that. But one of the reasons I feel like people overlook Aaron Rodgers is because he's not a great postseason quarterback. He underperforms in the playoffs compared to the regular season. He's one of the greatest, maybe the greatest regular season QB ever. But when it comes to people like Mahomes, Brady, they can win in the postseason to carry their team to a Super Bowl. But then with guys like Drew Brees, he, in my opinion, top 5 quarterback ever. But he doesn't get the recognition because he couldn't carry his team to Super Bowls. And yeah, I think the same thing's happened to Dak Prescott. I think he's an underrated quarterback, top 7, top 10 QB, but he can't lead his team past the wild card round, so he doesn't get as much recognition.
Another quarterback Cam Newton mentioned was Jared Goff. I don't think he's a game manager, at least not this season. This season, I think he was a top 10 quarterback, or at least arguably a top 10 quarterback.
Top 5.
When you take the Lions to the NFC Championship game,
The Lions, right?
The Detroit Lions, I think game manager talks. And you also put up 30 touchdowns. I think game manager talks is ridiculous. But this perfectly led us to the next topic, which is top 10 NFL quarterbacks currently.
I can do that easily.
I'll give my 10. I think I should go to 10-1. Number 10, I just talked about him. I got Jared Goff. I really like what he did last year. Over 30 touchdowns. Detroit won 12 games. Went to the NFC Championship game. They got robbed versus Dallas. But only embarrassing game was against us, which Lamar owns the NFC. He's 20-1 versus the NFC. So that's the only knock on him is that one game. Number 9, I had to put him there because he's just this talented. Justin Herbert, although I do want to see him, I want to see him win more. He's in conversations that he shouldn't be in unless he starts to win. Talent-wise, maybe, but you have to have the talent and you have to have the success. You have to have both to be in certain conversations.
Okay.
And number 8, I have Trevor Lawrence. I liked what I saw from him, not this year, but the year before, during the second half. And he had a really good year in general. Didn't really turn the ball over that much. Showed out in the playoffs. This year, he started out hot, going 8-3. Had some good games, had some bad games, but overall was very consistent. And then second half, they laid an egg. Then he got injured. I do think if he didn't get injured, the Jaguars probably would have made the playoffs. But I want to see some more consistency from both of those guys. But talent-wise, I really like Herbert and Trevor Lawrence. And number 7, I wish I could have put him higher, but that second half collapse was just Jalen Hurts. Although I think towards at least the end, he probably did get hurt. But you can't go from 10-1 to losing in the first round, at least in the NFC. Specific. The NFC and the AFC, it might not be a...
I think it depends because in the playoffs, there's only one game. There's only that one game, and that's it.
But they was falling off the map before the playoffs.
Well, when you 10-1 or 11-2, a lot of these teams rest their starters, which kind of made their starters rusty for the next game. The Ravens almost lost too. Because they did the same exact thing. They rest their starters. And you should keep your starters in to keep them hot, to keep that momentum moving.
Sure. But I feel like they season died when they went to San Francisco, when they played San Francisco and Philly.
I mean, San Francisco is a tough team. I mean, they made it all the way to the championship.
They was not the same.
To the Super Bowl. They made it to the Super Bowl.
And I know San Francisco went to the Super Bowl, almost won, but they was not the same after we laid it on them on Christmas. They was not the same. They were barely beating Green Bay. They would barely beat Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
And then they didn't bring their A game versus Kansas City.
Okay.
And then a very winnable game. Kyle Shanahan.
You got him at what number was that?
Who? Jalen Hurts. I am at 7. I really wanted to put him higher.
That's where he's at on this list right that I'm looking at.
Number 6. I really like this kid. Give me Jordan Love. I like what he did towards the second half of the season. We're like really the whole season. Over 36 touchdowns. You saw how he got down in the playoffs. It's just Green Bay talent-wise couldn't match up with San Francisco. So lost a game that he should have lost. But I like the upside of them in Green Bay. Number 5, I had to put him a little bit lower because of the injury.
Mm-hmm.
Give me Joe Burrow.
Okay.
If he's healthy, I maybe put him 4 or maybe 3.
Okay.
But that dude is like that. But there's somebody in the division that's better. I'm always gonna rub him more.
Yeah.
But the Bengals should compete very well in the AFC North next year. Number 4, y'all gonna be shocked. It don't matter who I put at number 4. Y'all gonna be shocked.
I'm definitely gonna be shocked.
Josh Allen.
Okay.
Josh Allen.
I wouldn't disagree with that.
That man, I feel like Cam Newton and Ben Roethlisberger fused together to create this man. The damn thing he does on the football field. Amazing athlete, can compete with the best of them. Number 3, I really like what this kid is going. He might and I mean this right now because this kid is this good.
Mm-hmm.
There's only a few quarterbacks that I would take over him, even at his young age.
Okay.
Give me C.J. Stroud.
Okay. That's what I was thinking.
Rookie of the year. One of the greatest rookie seasons of all time. Not turning the ball over, which is rare for a rookie. Very rare for a rookie. Would have broke Andrew Luck's passing yard record if he didn't get hurt later on in the year. His only weakness was the Baltimore Ravens. His only weakness was the Baltimore Ravens. He even went up Cincinnati and got a W. Number 2, y'all know I love this man. I wish I could put him number 1, but I gotta be objective. 2, you gotta beat the man to beat a man. Unfortunately,
Gotcha.
Give me Lamar. It pains me to say number 2.
It's okay.
MVP probably should have been unanimous. I feel like
it's okay. I mean, you speaking facts. You speaking facts.
Stand on business.
I feel like at least the NFC is fears Lamar more than they do Patrick Mahomes. They fear him. The way how he gets down in the NFC. You said the 49ers was quiet. Even like the 49ers was quiet until they got their Super Bowl matchup. Because they knew, even though they, you can ask the 49ers, they know the outcome that just happened, right? They're going to be like, not knowing the outcome, would you still rather play the Chiefs or the Ravens? They be like, give me Kansas City. I'm fine with that game. They don't want to see the whole NFC don't want to see number 8. Almost the whole league scares number 8. He owns, I'll say, 95% of the league, if not 98% of the league. Gotcha. But right now, the man that owns the whole league, Patrick Mahomes. Till you beat the man, you gotta beat the man to beat the man. Right. Anybody else got a top 10?
I do. Alright. Get up. Alright. A lot of people will put guys high just based on 1 year, but I'm a fan of having to prove it for a couple years. Like, I'm not going to put a rookie who has a great season in the top 5, probably not even top 10. So here's my list. Number 10, Brock Purdy. Like I was saying earlier, great quarterback. I don't think he's just a game manager. I think he can make plays, he can lead his team, and even if you think, oh, he's a game manager, he's only good because of the weapons, he's still putting up those crazy numbers. He's still crazy efficient, and I think you got to put him in there. Number 9, Jared Goff. Quietly been a good quarterback over the last couple of years. He wouldn't put up flashy stats because he didn't really get the opportunity to have really many weapons around him because the Lions' receiving core was so bad. But this last year, when he got a chance, he broke out, did great, showed signs of what he was on the Rams years ago. In great year. Excited to see him next year. Number 8, Dak Prescott. I think he had quietly had a very good season last year. Here's a big hot take for you. I think he should have won MVP. I think Lamar had the better QB season, but in my opinion, Dak Prescott was more valuable to his team than Lamar Jackson was. Lamar didn't put up the crazy stats. I think he was better, but most valuable player is most valuable, and I think that was Prescott. Without him, I don't think the Cowboys go anywhere near as good as they did. But I think if you put the Ravens backup in like Tyler Huntley, they would still be a playoff team at least. The number 7, Aaron Rodgers. People forget he won the MVP just 2 years ago. You had to put him lower because of his Achilles tear, but if he can be somewhat of what he was, even though he's 40, I think he could still put up good numbers. Don't think he's going to put up those crazy stats, but I think he can be very efficient like he always has. Number 6, Jalen Hurts. Puts up good numbers, but he has so much talent around him. Super inconsistent, not always super efficient, but he's been good over the last few years. Been almost in border on MVP candidate, and border on MVP. Just needs to be more consistent and more efficient for me. The number 5, Justin Herbert, a lot higher than most people would have him. But a couple years ago, people were saying, "Oh, he's the next big thing. He's a top 5 quarterback." But he hasn't done that, in my opinion, because he hasn't had anything to work with. He had the worst coach last year in Brandon Staley, who luckily got fired. He did have Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, but they were constantly getting hurt. and he doesn't have any talent, anything around him this year since Keenan Allen got traded. Mike Williams is on the Jets, so don't know how he'll do this year. But I think if you put him on an average team, average offense, I think he puts up top 5 numbers. I think he's still a great QB. Number 4, Joe Burrow. The top number 2, the 4, I think are all pretty interchangeable. He got hurt last year, so you have to knock him down a bit because we don't know how he'll be next year, even though he'll probably still be great. But he's still a great quarterback. Going to be great next year, I guarantee it. Number 3, Lamar Jackson. Was the best QB last year. Won the MVP. And he only had... This is his first big year he's had since his 2019 season. If his 2019 season was 2 years ago, he'd probably be number 1 or number 2. But I have to see him play like that another year, even though he's always been good. But the next few guys are just crazy. Then number 2 is Josh Allen. He's been a top 3 QB every year the last 3 years. The consistency is incredible. He doesn't get hurt much. And he's always just... Everyone knows who he is. He's a physical specimen. He's hard to prepare for. He can run. He can throw the ball 80 yards. Just the freaking nature. The number 1, obviously, Pat Mahomes, the best quarterback in the league. Just won the Super Bowl. Probably could be the next GOAT if he continues this. So, yeah.
Wow, that was... Yeah, I just want y'all to see where y'all was in that, because I just got the PFF version of it, which they have number 10, they have Tula for Miami Dolphins. Number 9, they have Dak Prescott. Number 8, they have Trevor Lawrence. Number 7, they have Jalen Hurts. Number 6, Lamar Jackson. Number 5, Aaron Rodgers. Number 4, Justin Herbert. Number 3, Joe Burrow. Number 2, Josh Allen. And number 1, Patrick Mahomes.
That has to be last year. There's no way Lamar is not at least top 5 or top 3.
They always put him low. This is what he always talks about, and he loves the doubters because it actually fuels him.
Does it give a date?
I think this was this might have been the 2023 year, but that was the updated version of what they had.
Oh,
they don't have one for 2024 yet because the season didn't start. All right, so we got Simon.
Yeah, just here's just some quick goings on in the Timmy world. X-Men 97, the continuation of the X-Men cartoon from the 90s. Premiered a few weeks ago, and it's been a huge hit. However, shortly before the show's premiere, the series showrunner Bo DeMeo, I think his name was fired for no reason, and no reason was given. However, recently it seems like some people are saying that the reason he was fired was due to an OnlyFans account he had, and also for being difficult to work with. And some other news, Warner Brothers has announced they're going to do an animated film based on the classic Dr. Seuss book, The Cat in the Hat, and they've announced that Bill Hader will voice the cat and will also be an executive producer on the film. And if you're not aware, Bill Hader previously played the cat in a pretty funny SNL sketch. If you haven't seen it, look it up.
Well, you gotta read the policies. I mean, in the work field,
they definitely
you want to do stuff like that. But I'm happy for the other dude who's gonna have his show. I hope he does great things.
Yeah. You looking at me? You want me to tell you my top 10? I'll run mine quickly.
Yes.
All right, so my top 10, I'm going to go with number 10, I'm going with Justin Herbert. Number 9, I'm going to go Dak Prescott. Number 8, I'm going to go Aaron Rodgers. Number 7, Joe Burrow. Number 6, I'm going CJ Stroud.
Wow. Burrow low because of the injury?
Yeah.
Okay.
Only reason why I'm putting C.J. Stroud because that was
Because he's a
year.
rookie. Okay, I can
So
see that.
like this year, it's going to be a show improve year because the rookie year is like Lamar. It was hard for people to know what he. It's kind of hard to study somebody that's just coming in the league because you can't really study them. Like this is like the proving year for a lot of people, like Zay Flowers, a couple other people that were rookies last year. So number 5, I'm going. I'm gonna go Trevor Lawrence.
Wow. Very shocking.
I'm gonna go Trevor Lawrence.
If this was last year, I would almost agree because I had Lawrence probably his number 6 last year.
Trevor Lawrence is a good quarterback.
I just want to see.
He actually pulls through on big games like when he plays the Ravens. Like it's like always a nail biting experience because it's like you don't know what he's getting ready to do, and he's going to cause them to win or lose the game usually. Let's see, number 4. I'm gonna go Josh Allen. Number 3. Oh man, that's a tough spot right there. I'm gonna go Tua with 3.
Tua over Josh Allen?
Yeah.
What's the reason? I haven't heard this in a while.
Just because Tua is a good quarterback. He just he's injury prone every now and then, and I think that's what causes him to drop down low. But he almost had Tyreek Hill to be a MVP. That's the man throwing him the ball. Like the ball got to get to him. The ball got to get to him for him to be in the conversation with an MVP. Another one. Lamar's number 2. Patrick Mahomes is 1. I wish I could change that around, but like you said, you got to beat the man.
I agree. Unfortunately. Well, Mr. Jaggers, do you have a top 10?
No.
He's not trying to be controversial.
I will say that Jordan Love is creeping up in that top 10. I will say that. And Brock Purdy, I forgot to put Brock Purdy in there. I'm gonna put him. I'm gonna take Tula out and put Brock Purdy right there.
Brock Purdy at 3. I think that's a much better choice at 3. Even though I have Tua over Purdy, I just think you can argue top Brock Purdy higher than Tua if you want to put him in like a top 7 situation.
Mm-hmm. And
you have to really believe in Brock Purdy though.
This year going to be very interesting because you got a lot of teams that mixed everything up. Like there's some quarterbacks that was changed. Like I'm eager to figure out what's the big hype about Russell Wilson because Russell Wilson be in these top conversations, but he never quite make these lists of top 10. But he's had some big contracts. When you think about it, Russell Wilson had some big contracts. He went from Seattle to Denver to now Pittsburgh. And these are long-term deals. These ain't like short-term 1 year, 2 year contracts.
He's on the Steelers for 1 year, $1 million this year.
Yeah. But before that, I'm talking about he played with the Broncos for a couple years.
Yeah.
He even had his own office, they say.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Bit of a diva there, I've heard.
Yeah, he had his own office.
Management came in, they just switched it on him.
They switched it all up.
I think it was all about money, though, for them. Well, money and other things. Let me just say that. I'm going to leave that alone. But money.
I mean, they're paying him $39 million this year out of their salary cap. It would have been cheaper just to have him as their starter, but I've heard just from reporters and stuff online on the media that Sean Payton just absolutely hates him. He's a diva. That's what I've heard.
Oh, really?
Just they don't like him, so they got rid of him, so they can just move on.
I mean, he was in the AFC West, unfortunately, but he's also now they're in the AFC North, so that's not that much better. But I don't know. Yeah. I don't know if you'd rather just be in a division with Mahomes and Herbert or just be in the AFC North. That's a tough one to pick.
Right.
But anyway, this was our first show. It was great to be the host of this show, and there's many more to go. It's your boy, King JTH, signing off. My co-hosts have anything to say?
Nope.
No, I don't have anything to add.
Y'all going to say your name?
You say your name.
This is Simon.
This is Nick.
All right. Great.
I'm Javonta.
And we are signing out.
Peace.
I think that was good. There was still a lot of topics on the board.
That was good for the first show, man. That was good. Y'all know your stuff, though. You know.
Yep.
That's the key. Is knowing your subject matter.